bring my glasses today. I am in
You
trouble.
can't see.
If I don't, yeah, this thing is just small enough that if I don't have my reading glasses, I had trouble reading it.
You know, Rick and Pastor Jason at the district office.
We told him, Kelly. Hopefully. What's the day? 13th? Is it the 13th?
Yeah.
It is 13th.
Day the 13th. You talk to Pastor Jason?
I didn't talk to him. Javon, I told him to remind everybody what the meeting was, but I didn't get to talk to him.
Yeah, we got an email came out. I saw that. What I didn't do?
No, this is
Oh. I went through all of it.
6 o'clock.
All right. You ready?
Yeah.
He walks in the door.
Huh?
Y'all ready? We good?
You talk to Pastor Jason? I had to call everybody.
I'm glad to call him now. Oh, I'm sure he'll be here in a second, I hope. All right, I'm gonna go ahead and fire it up. Good evening. I'd like to call the November 13th Fairfield County School Board meeting to order. I'd like to confirm that we did have public notification of the meeting, correct? Thank you, ma'am. I'm sure Pastor Jackson is on his way, but we do have a quorum. Of course, this is our organizational session for the year, and we do have some members who need to be sworn in. So at this time, I'll turn it over to, I guess, our clerk of court, Ms. Bonds, who will swear in our recently elected members.
Up first.
You have to go to the courthouse and do it? How you gonna do that with me?
Yeah.
Just swear. We'll swear. I didn't
All right, so, yeah.
School have one in here with your principal.
You want me to go get it out you got? I mean, I can get it if you want.
I pull it up.
I remember us doing
Pull it up on the iPad.
I remember us doing ours together.
I know. We did, didn't we?
That would
You
be,
got one, Neil? Okay.
take us long.
Neil's, he got one coming this way.
Well, we get Pastor Jackson in a second. It doesn't matter. We got to get Pastor Jackson here anyway. We could pretend like the iPad. Swear on the iPad. Pull it up. Webpage.
Yes.
You gonna take the oath for him? You gonna stand in for him or not?
Call his house. You didn't ask him to call his house? Hey, how you doing? Appreciate that, my brother.
I, Sylvia Harrison, do solemnly swear
That I am duly qualified,
I am duly qualified,
according to the Constitution of this state,
according to the Constitution of this state,
to exercise the duties of this office,
to exercise the duties of this office
to which I have been elected,
to which I have been elected,
and that I will, to the best of my ability,
that I will, to the best of my ability,
discharge the duties thereof,
discharge the duties thereof,
and preserve and protect and defend
and preserve and protect and defend
the Constitution of this state and the United States.
the Constitution of this state and the United States.
So help me God.
So help me God. Next.
There we go. There we go. There we go.
You got your call.
Yeah.
I told you you wouldn't know.
You made it. You got it. It's
You
all
got
right.
somebody to hold the Bible for you. You want me to?
Yeah, you can. I didn't know we had to do it like that.
What's going on there, Pastor? You doing okay there? Good to see you, man.
Solemnly swear
That I am duly qualified,
I am duly qualified,
according to the Constitution of this state,
according to the Constitution of this state,
to exercise the duties of this office,
to exercise the duties of this office,
to which I have been elected,
which I have been elected,
and that I will, to the best of my ability,
that I will, to the best of my ability,
discharge the duties thereof,
discharge the duties thereof,
and preserve and protect and defend
preserve, protect, and defend
the Constitution of this state and the United States.
the Constitution of this state and the United States.
So help me God.
So help me God.
Congratulations.
Sit down. You going next?
Hey. I didn't bring nobody, man, you know. Don't do that.
That's okay. We had to borrow one.
I just
We borrowed one from Neil Robinson. Say we borrowed one from Neil Robinson anyway. We didn't have one.
I, Darrell Davis, do solemnly swear that I am duly qualified,
Your Bible.
according to the Constitution of this state, to exercise the duties of this office, to which I have been elected, and that I will, to the best of my ability,
Y'all want to go ahead? Y'all want to go ahead and sign the paperwork? Just like getting married. It ain't legal till you sign the piece of paper. You got to send it to the state.
If you'll sign right on that line, then I'll notarize them.
Okay. Need a pen?
Yeah.
So, there you go.
Thank you, Council.
Yeah, it's been a long time.
Yes, I have.
I used to work for the school system 40 years ago.
That was a little while ago.
A long time. Thank you, Ms. Bond.
All right, thank you. Truly a group effort. We had Ms. Bonds from our clerk of court swear us in. We had Councilman Robinson lend us a Bible so we could do it. So there you go. It's a cooperative effort right here in Fairfield County. All right, at this time, we have to elect officers, and as is custom, I'll turn it over to Dr. Green for the election of board chair.
Thank you, Mr. Frick. Now we will open the floor for nominations for board chair.
Dr. Green, I nominate William Frick for board chair.
Okay. Mr. William Frick has been nominated by Ms. Harrison. Any other nominations?
Mr. Superintendent, I'd like to close the nomination on one said name, but I'm going to get a second. Second.
Okay. Okay. Mr. Miller has recommended that the nomination be brought to a close, and that has been seconded by Ms. Harrison or Mrs. Jackson. I can't remember. Mrs. Jackson seconded that. So I guess we can vote just for formality. All in favor of Mr. Frick as board chair, please show your approval. All right, 7-0. Turn it over to you, Mr. Frick.
Thank you, and thank you very much for allowing me to continue in this for one more year, I guess. All right, at this time, we need to make nominations for vice chair. So chair, entertain motion for vice chair. Yes, ma'am.
Mr. Chair, I nominate Pastor Jackson for vice chair.
All right, pastor, vice chair. Great day. This is going to be a long day. I tell you. Thank you, Ms. McDaniel. Pastor Jackson has been nominated, and Ms. McDaniel has moved the nominations be closed. All those in favor of closing nominations? Looks like y'all are in favor of that. Okay. Any other nominations? Well, hold on. We got to officially vote. All right. So nominations have been closed. All those in favor of Pastor Jackson continuing as vice chair indicate by raising your right hand. Thank you. All right. Secretary. Thank you, ma'am. Any further? It's been seconded by Mr. Davis after nomination by Ms. McDaniel. Any further nominations on secretary?
Move nomination come to a close.
All right. Is there a second on that? Been motioned and seconded. Seeing no further. All those in favor of Ms. Harrison continuing as secretary indicate by raising your right hand. I believe that is 7-0. Thank you all very much. And I think that's all the officers we got to elect. At this time, Chair, entertain a motion to go into executive session regarding personnel matters. I don't think we have anything else on the agenda. Am I missing any employment or anything? So just personnel matters.
Mr. Chairman, we have to executive session for personnel matter.
Thank you, ma'am.
Second.
It's been motioned by Ms. McDaniel, seconded by Ms. Harrison, to go into executive session regarding personnel matters. All those in favor indicate by raising your right hand. 7-0, we will adjourn to executive session not to exceed 6:30. Or 30 minutes thereafter, I guess. Right? That's what I meant. He'll be back in just a second. Sound Chair will entertain a motion.
I move we exit, executive session. I second.
It's been motioned by Ms. All for coming out to see us here. Kelly Miller, I think we've got one more. To Ms. Harrison for the pledge.
Let's all stand for the pledge allegiance to the flag. A moment of silence. Thank you.
Entertain a motion.
The agenda as presented, providing I get a second.
Chair, second.
All right, it's been motioned by Ms. Harrison, second by Pastor. Seeing none, all those in favor? 7-0. Ms. McDaniel always thinks I'm looking at her when I ask these questions. I guess I always.
Transportation.
I'm also reflective for another reason, because it's from relationships. Because I think Ms. McDaniel can tell you there was times over to nominate yourselves. That's very pleasing. Well, why am I here tonight? I'm here tonight because North Carolina Citizens for Justice, Inc. Now, I'm not going to get into a whole lot of details. The time I came here, there were three things. He gave two. That grievance, everything was taken care of. She asked. And that did not. This is not what matters, but Mr. Chairman, that grievances are a three-step process. It goes up to you all become sort of like the referee to determine whether or not things should occur. To the immediate supervisor, in your time and energy to go to the board. I'll see you at the board. That particular individual, first line supervisor, and in action, he took him off, but in actuality, that first line supervisor, this is where the unfairness occurs. He became the second line supervisor. He made the second decision, and basically, words to the effect, tonight, that you give these individuals, well, with the attorney, because one is out, them know that all this cordiality, but they have a right to be heard. Dr. Green has made both decisions. The first letter he sent to them, or second letter, this is but you know my history and how I fought equality and tranquility in the face of to be heard. It's not a cut. I don't want, this is whomever he wants to a bus. Assignment has been changed. Asking for at least to be heard. The second issue I want to bring up, it involves me denied. I'm asking you all to appoint denial was wrong. It out. The statute gives me absolute right to. I'm not here to bring threats or anything, but I can promise you that I will sue. I don't want to see no information that I'm not entitled to see.
Any further public comment? All right. You going to do the
with the STEM cohort number, as you know, based involved in the Fairfield Central High School senior Willie and the students are going through quite a bit of emotional turbulence. Okay.
Mr. Chairman,
Yes, sir.
and Ms. Harrison may have mentioned the point of personal privilege that we take of silence.
Absolutely.
Okay.
Thank you, ma'am. Appreciate you reminding. Reading glasses on, so.
Good evening.
This evening, I'm going to share the 2017-2018 school. You should have a copy of the presentation loaded for you in Board Docs. The first set of assessment scores that I'm going to share with you is the SAT scores and ACT scores for our graduating seniors. Our 2018 school year, we are pleased to and school year reading and math score, or reading and writing score. In math, the average math score increased from 453 to 487, which resulted in 34 points increase. writing increased from 922 to 983, which was an increase. Demonstrated an increase from 2017 14.9% for the mean composite score to 16.1%. Our work keys of high school for our students. The work keys assessment was given in 2015, 2016. Last when career readiness assessment was given. These two assessments are both comparable or comparable because they both 2017 in 2018 received a certificate. We had certificate, and we had 5 students to earn a dual credit. In 17-18 of last year, we had 295 credits earned for dual credit, as compared to in 2012-13, we had 28 credits earned. And we are very pleased to share with you, if you look in the last column, you will see the percentage in red highlighted, the college on last year. Next, I will share with you our AP scores on the AP exam. It's a measure of how the students achieve or will likely succeed on a college level AP course. Now, in order for a student to be a 3 or above, and a 4 will be well qualified, and a 5 will be considered or 3 or higher to earn college credit. And as I stated earlier, qualified means that you have proven or the student has in a particular subject in college. Now, this next graph or chart shares with you the total number of students who score advanced placement exam. In 2018, we had 86 exams administered to students as compared to none in the year 2012. And with that in mind, we had 14 in calculus and number of students who earned a 3 or better, we had 14 students for year 2018. Moving on to our end of course assessments. Assessments for Algebra 1, Biology, U.S. History. I wanted to kind of just bring to your recollection and to your memory. Back in 2016-17, the State Department end of course assessments, they had does not meet was an F, B and C, and exceeds expectations was given an A. And as a result of the reset chart, that the number of A's, B's, and C's dramatically decreased after the benchmarking, whereas the D's and the F's increased from 2015 to 20. Course tests across the entire state. 2017 to 2018, we went from 9% in Biology 1 in English 1, and in U.S. history went from 40. The state relates the South Carolina mean scale. Standard setting took place in 2015-16. In 2018, after the state mean score widened tremendously because 2015 to 81.9% was the average mean scale score for Algebra 1. 17-18, it went down to 60. Did in fact impact that is administered to all of our students in grades 3. In 2017, we had 24% in demonstration. And in math, we went from 26% in 2017 which is both administered in %, and in social 6% as a our graduation rate. Our graduation rate of 81%. Chart, but this is a chart like ours, and we define districts with students like 7%. And so with that, we have the assessment types going across the top, and of the districts like ours, with past science, we outperformed science, the EOC, the districts that were in fact aggregated to district achievements. Also known as the KRA. We had 41 students qualified credits, as stated earlier, earned by our students or above percentile on the SC Ready ELA assessment. We had 126 students achieve, and we also had 10 students achieve a score of questions.
Don't leave that last one off there.
Okay. Oh, my apologies.
I just want folks to hear that. Score on the ACT?
A 36.
left work today, I saw something came across said old issue. Can you?
Scheduled to be released, I think, maybe Thursday. It has delayed the release, so even if it wouldn't have access to it today, and it's still embargoed information, but I think it's scheduled. So the data that's used and that's a long story, but and so they need to look at the act.
So if there's as far as the board,
29th.
so not stating, I don't see. As far as where they say like so many students are tested in these different graphs.
So in terms of the different graphs, let's say SC ready ELA, every fourth grade student about all students in a grade would be all students. Okay. In fourth grade, fifth grade, so on and so on. Okay, so, okay, well we average, Ms. Hartman,
Gave us at least the total that's tested for that particular test. Have it involved.
okay.
You can play with percentage.
Yeah, so SC ready math would be administered grade, sixth grade, seventh grade. Confused, how could it be two students?
I'm just giving an example as far as.
Okay, it's every six exam. One student took two exams. About close to 86 students, but as I said, you may have a student that took two exams. But one person.
Gradually coming up as far as.
Well, and so let me say this about 8 earlier. In 2012 we didn't administer. Don't recall the number off the top of my head, and we in addition on last year, and so we are doing a tremendous job of exposing our students. And more students taking AP courses. Ideally, we get kids to make a 3-4 experience of being in an AP course. College, they'll realize that it was well worth.
Hold up there. And get
Okay. Course. I mean, that'd be great for me. Every student to earn dual credit courses before they graduate. people, and sign up for the rigor. Get kids to agree to at least sign up for the rigor and said, credit course to the demands of moving in the right direction. And let me just say this. I will put particularly what we dual credit courses up against any district. And so credits as, and so I
It looks like we close to doubled as far as passing.
probably talking about, if I had to give you a number, probably 0.2% of students in 2 or 3 years ago earned BC calculus credits. We didn't even
Yes, ma'am. I was waiting till you were done before I asked mine.
Presented to the board, it is explained to go back and forth between Ms. Hartman and Dr. Green as though it's a how will our students do? That you would not let that kind of dialogue continue to happen. But when they are just put here in such a general, and when questions are asked, if you don't recognize and if you don't admit the things that you need to work on, about those students at the bottom tier. One of the talks about, we have somewhere in the middle, where the movement should be that the students at the top keep moving forward, the ones at the bottom keep moving forward. Not that Ms. Paula, as far as your question about the that she sent the and the board members or something that a board member might discuss. That the test information is embargoed to
the number of tests a student takes per year.
And the reason I'm asking,
Okay.
District about the number of tests that would be students are tested. I want to say it was like some, and the discussion was revolved around over testing, and then whether or not the test scores are coming back so that the teachers are able to use that data. SC Ready with all these different tests that's being presented to us tonight, and those that are not presented, because I don't see MAP test scores included in this.
Yeah. And so that's a good question, Ms. McDaniel. MAP test what we call summative assessments. And so adjustments to the instructional program. So that's why teachers get that readily, so they can say, well, little Johnny is doing better on this, so let's kind of adjust it. We generally map test 3 times a year. We generally map test 3 times a year. We still are doing 9-week assessments.
Okay.
We still do some cumulative assessments, and then we have state assessments. I couldn't argue. Quite honestly, as you look at all the different assessments that we have presented, a hyper accountability movement for 20 years now, where people think that is how you measure schools, that is how you improve schools, and schools have been following suit. And so when I say following suit, unfortunately, well, because that's how you judge me as a teacher. Principals have been following suit because that's how you judge me as a. It's been counterproductive. Spartanburg, who Finland is known as having in the country. Now, thirdly, you have free college. I want to recognize is they do virtually no standardized testing. Saying, well, why is Finland identified standardized testing, and we have been on this hyper standardized testing wheel for 20 plus years now. And absolutely been counterproductive, but and this is going to be controversial, but the testing industry is a business.
Oh yeah.
Okay. Business to keep us on the hyper accountability move. Go to the State House, a question you probably want to ask them. How much we pay, but I'll bet you when you movement, then as they say, just follow the money. And not be worried about assessment. You know, I was a principal, and I've told my staff drop by about 5 or 6%. Look back in the data, the reason my graduation year. The thing that people don't recognize about graduation rate, earning a standard high school diploma. So if I had 100 students, it could be as 90%. So if I'm perfect, it can't be but 90%. And much better if I didn't have these self-contained students in my building. Who would never earn a high school diploma, some kids who were learning to count money, do that whole continuum. And it is absolutely absurd for the state to come and say, I'm going to count this kid against you because he has a disability. Celebrate the success of that student. We look at that. And so I give you that example. It's able to be at that point to where we worry more about
just taking a year and not testing, using the MAP test, but having the teachers work with the students on what they identify in the class as the where we fall on the testing is basically utilized to prepare the students for the end of year testing. So if they could utilize that time and be more productive in working with the testing, and then just 1 year, and then just look the end how they come out.
So two things I'd say to that, Ms. McDaniel. We as a district do too much to prepare students for summative assessments where we almost burn. Also, I want to add, and I've said, they want to see what you know to fit what you need, okay? It should have that kind of formative value. But I've had the same conversation with my own children as you know, and then they can tailor the modify and reduce the amount of MAP testing. I'll tell you, principals are probably thinking, I got to get these kids, prepare them for testing, because when the test scores don't look good, but we've created, Ms. McDaniel. You're right, we're going to have to change. I would agree, Ms. Hartman. I don't. I'm focusing on. 9-week assessments. People were very stressful when I first. Way for us to determine. And it shouldn't be seen as a punishment.
Do you kind of come up with
A number, Mr. McDaniel, but I'll probably go out on a test 7. You know, and once again, that's just off the top of my head, okay? Yeah, and that's not a testing. I think it does. Just pick, well, historically, if you look at high poverty communities, students that attend high poverty schools are much greater than high. Just facts, all right? And so, yeah, and so I think it provides some context, particularly the state, because that's ultimately our goal. But I think it's important to provide, as the data So at a minimum, we should be as good as they are. So I don't necessarily look at it just in terms of, well, we are performing better than all of these districts that have similar politics, so you can compare apples to apples. And they have their U.S. 10 points higher than I.
Counselors, you know, when the school is, then it will help, that's gonna help us do it as well.
You know, I sit here and listen. You know, it's an assault on things, so many restrictions on our behind your back. You know, yeah. It's plenty of time that so that's why I'm glad. Down at the state, you know, I'm talking about public education. I say all that, you know, meaning harm. Alluded to you and Ms. Hartman asking questions. Questions here, but I picked the phone up. I don't want to be thrown under. I don't like Dr. Avery. If I got a question, because I already got the answer, but I want.
But just to comment, everybody asks questions, everybody's talking, we learn the board, which I said, but you make a Fairfield County, because leaders may or may not be my chair. When our students start school, and I guess I don't know what test we use now. I don't know if it's so she came to know where are they in school all day, and what started the conversation was about the 2 nuclear reactors that, you know how he liked to clown, so he was just cutting up. But then she took it to throw shade at us in the amount of continue to, as you stated earlier, and celebrate the good things that our students do. On the, and anybody want to tell her she watched the film, I tell her myself, because she said it with all students should have there's a lot of shade thrown because of the money we get, but what folk don't recognize is we get a windfall of money from SCNG in the county, and that it cure what happens outside. have that conversation to make sure that we put information out there and not let folk win a windfall of money. Thank you.
Thank you for that point, Ms. McDaniel. At the state for graduated, went to law school. I got on the school board. Listening to you talk and other folks asking questions over the but I've learned a whole lot more. And they're the ones who determine whether our kids are smart or stupid. I am infinitely proud of our kids. Scores are coming about now. You realize the number of our kids who are taking the SAT. I was in that situation. I took the SAT. That was it is every one of them. State of South Carolina mandates that. That you have to take it. Initial rant. I am proud of our teachers and what they do. Or the rules of the game change every year. And then every time I hear somebody talk, I mean, I get say, we the best in the country, because frustrates me the most is this U.S. News and World Report one.
Oh, yeah.
Now, folks, from personal experience, I can tell you on the University of they were saying that the MIBS program was the #1 international business program in the country. U.S. News and World Report, they're geniuses. They know. U.S. News and World Report rated us a third-tier law school. To horseshoe to the other side of the campus. Folks, little teeny print. Get you a little teeny print. Get you a magnifying of our kids' parents who have a college degree. What in but that's what they're ranking it. So when you see that report that says we're 50th in the country, and I've gone way off. Going back and finish up, thank Senator Fanning for quite frankly, control it has. We've got a state board of education. Ultimately, it's supposed to be given to the, I don't know what interest they have, but clearly it's not. You know what, education, look it up and thank Senator Fanning. Long overdue.
Report card, and you will get the school report card. Context. I know you all went to a training or something as they've determined. when they rank all schools' index scores from highest to lowest, they'll an excellent rating. The next 20% of schools an unsatisfactory rating. So it's not based on any kind of standard. For you got to make these. Is that we have a normative and so the state and I can tell you that we outperform. Yeah, what we do. It's not a valid and reliable with any system where, and that's an somebody has to be losers. Yeah.
Yes, sir, go ahead.
What bothers me about this whole situation is that no matter what we do, are going to fix it the way they want it to be. Because that doesn't have anything to do, which is the reason why I personally advertise and do whatever I running it. We don't need no politicians running. When we start getting to the point where it looks like we're doing something, they change the rules. And then it's like we were saying just a little while ago. They as successful as they have been appearing because they change. It ain't about rules, it's about kids.
Chairman, just who's feeling, I still have that t-shirt.
That's right.
Oversight came about. And try to and let our voices be heard and talk to the folk. Years. And we need to change that. The school board that we're fighting for things that going to positively. Yes, now you know I was going to introduce that bill. Conversation with us about it as to why. My conversation with him was, we have too many factors. You have the state, even though they might have a education degree, still a politician.
Yeah.
And then education advisor, he really have no.
That's right.
Point that are these other entities. And I think Mike was thinking that the system failing, and the legislature and the governor and his appointee, and now you can't be throwing shade. You causing it to fail, because now if of governor and not the person who's sitting in the seat.
You heard all the concerns that was too many mandates handed down to them, and it's burdening them down.
I mean, if I don't.
Oh, yeah, she'll get on you, no question about that. No question about that. All right.
On that you talked about, Mr. Jackson, a lot of people don't get involved in the school system. I know Dr. Green has, I'm sure, everybody that's in. And that, and contacting them. So, but that were running. But how many people know about who's in about, so a lot of people don't know how to vote. Involved with the children, the 12 to 11.
Thank you, ma'am. Mr. Davis, you want to say?
Yeah.
Picking on you. I'm sorry. It was good. All right. All right. Human resources.
Excuse me. Good evening, Mr. Chairman and members of with Board Policy GBK, staff concerns, complaints, grievances. Staff concerns, complaints, grievances, issued 197. The board hearing request that has been presented.
Grievance hearing request. Thank you, ma'am. It's been motioned by Ms. Hartman. Hear the hearing request. I believe this would fall. This was an issue that we took up. All those in favor of hearing the request? Two in favor. Raising your right hand. Three. You're abstaining? In favor, one abstention, one recusal.
Answer questions regarding this particular issue. In the event that I'm not here for the to go back and read if there's something that can still be worked out regarding this.
All right. agenda, board minutes. Entertain a motion regarding 16th meeting board minutes.
Mr. Chair. Call board meeting.
All right. Are there any discussion, corrections, issues on the board minutes from October?
We didn't have one where it wasn't put in the motion, so, but I did ask, when we were voting on the trip, as far as the students,
Yes, ma'am.
was that approving the trip, or was it also approving any kind of funds? And you said it was no funds. But I'd like to have that put on the record.
Okay.
But it's not.
Okay. I know it was stated, because I know that's one either you or I seem to ask that question every time, just to clarify it. But it's so noted. Anything further?
Also, Mr. Chair, I think, I don't have the minutes in front of me, but there was something, I don't know why my computer went out. When I made the request when I made the motion for the $500 for the employees making less than $20,000.
Yes, ma'am.
And I think if memory serves me correctly in the minutes, it stated that I said stipend. It wasn't stipend, it was bonus, and I need the minutes to reflect what I actually said, which was bonus.
Okay. I think we can make that correction, because I believe you did say bonus. We'll make sure that's taken care of. Any further additions or corrections? Seeing none, obviously we've got a motion and second, but it is intended to be for the amended minutes. All those in favor of the amended minutes indicate by raising your right hand. I'm losing my math. That's 5. All right. All those opposed? Abstentions? 2 abstentions.
I'd like to put on the record, the reason I'm doing that is because I don't feel like we should be voting on it before it's corrected. Thank you.
Thank you, ma'am. All right. Next on the agenda, superintendent's report.
Chairman Frick, members of the board, first of all, I am so excited about the fact that probably within a couple of weeks, we're going to have the addition complete at Kelly Miller Elementary School. And so right now, our students have band class on the stage while PE is in the gym. And we won't be in this position, hopefully, by the end of November. It would have been so exciting if the addition had been ready by today, but it's not, so we could do a tour. But I'll tell you that students, faculty, staff, and the community are going to be very, very excited about the new addition, and we anticipate that it'll be complete by the end of November. So you'll be hearing information soon about the ribbon cutting and the grand opening to come and take a look at the new addition. Also, I'd like to bring the newsletter to your attention. I'd like to thank Ms. Wallace for once again doing an outstanding job. Lots of things that we could highlight there. If you didn't get an opportunity to go to the middle school to take a look at the artwork that the students completed, please go by and take a look at it. They've done an absolutely tremendous job. We'd like to thank the guest artists who came to work with those students. He really is a miracle worker, because those kids look like experienced artists in looking at that artwork, so he did a tremendous job. Also, I'd like to recognize the Fairfield Middle School students who participated in the declamation contest. We had one student that finished first place in Latin 1A, and another student to place third in Latin B, 1B. So Alexia Hernandez placed first, that's in Latin 1A, and Luke Downs placed third in Latin 1B. Also, I want to just highlight the welding class. If you look on the back of your newsletter, it shows some welding students doing I think you call it a cage of sorts around the air conditioner. I don't know what you call that, but it's what you put around the air conditioner so people won't break in and steal the copper out of it, all right? And so the welding students apparently went to an elderly woman's home in the community, and they installed one of those cages around her air conditioning unit to prevent someone from coming and stealing the unit or the parts out of the unit. And so we'd like to thank the welding students for that outstanding community service. Also, I'd like to recognize Mr. Darrell Davis, who is being awarded his Boardsmanship Institute Level 1. Davis, on behalf of the School Boards Association, will be awarding you level 1, and I'm quite sure level 2, 3, 4, and 5 are coming soon. All right. And finally, let me say that it is with an extremely heavy heart that I share with the board and the entire community the loss of one of our Fairfield family members. Many of you have heard the news that we had one of our senior students to die tragically in an automobile accident today. Actually, I was on the phone with a county council member when I got the call, and I had a couple of people to beep in, and I said, well, I'll pick up in a second, but then I had a couple of additional people to beep in, and I said, well, this must be important. And so when I got off the phone to accept the call, I received the news. And I've spent pretty much the entire day at Fairfield Central High School. So did most of our counselors, several of our district office staff, just there to support students. And I can tell you they need all the support that they can get. In addition to his immediate family, mother and father and sisters and relatives, this entire community is saddened by what has transpired. And together, we will find a way to get through it all. I'll tell you, I visited his mother and father probably about 3 o'clock today before coming to the school board meeting. They are holding up as well as can be expected after such a loss, but they continue to be prayerful, and we'll continue to be prayerful with them. And so we're saddened, but we'll continue to support our community as we work through this most devastating event. That's all I had, Mr. Chair.
Thanks, sir.
Mr. Chair,
Yes, ma'am.
Dr. Green, I'm not sure, but can you check and see if it's okay for staff to, when incidents like that occur, to display on social media what has happened?
Okay.
Just if you can just get a legal opinion on that.
Okay, I will.
And it may be okay. I'm just saying, I'll talk to you about it later, but if you can just check on it.
Okay.
I'd like to make a comment. I hate to come back to where you were prior to that. I think we need to give a shout out to our middle school champions. They've won the football championship.
That's right. Absolutely.
Yeah, and so what Ms. Hartman is saying is that the middle school football team went undefeated this year. She and I talked about it. Let's give them a round of applause. Just for your information, our plan is to try and have them come to the school board meeting in December so we can recognize them. So I would like to do a formal recognition of their success.
I'd like to ask too, who uses the field house now as far as the sports? I thought it was all the sports.
So ultimately, Ms. Hartman, the teams that primarily use the field house are football, tennis, softball, soccer, and that's it. Okay. High school and junior high.
Well, the last game was there, they were not using it at the junior high.
Yes. And so I missed the last game. I'm not sure why they decided not to use it.
All right. It's a conspiracy. Y'all talk just long enough for my iPad to go off every time. All right, we got it back. It's your computer too, Miss McDaniel. They're conspiring together. All right, I think that gets us curriculum and instruction.
Item number 1 is the approval of the local board approved LBA courses for Fairfield Elementary School, Fairfield Middle School, and Gordon Odyssey Academy. And we are planning to implement a pilot program to help support our students in increasing their reading and writing skills for targeted intervention. And we plan to implement a program called Read 180 and System 44, which is an intensive reading and writing intervention program that is going to help raise our students' reading and writing levels. And based upon the state board regulation, all local board-approved courses must be approved by the district's Board of Trustees each year and evidenced in the board's minutes. So that is why you're receiving this as an action item this evening.
All right, and at this time, Chair will entertain a motion in regard to the locally approved courses.
Mr. Chair,
Yes, ma'am.
I make a motion to accept the superintendent recommendation to approve the local board of courses for 2018-2019 school year.
Thank you, ma'am. Is there a second? Thank you, Mr. Davis. Been motion by Ms. Harrison, second by Mr. Davis to approve the local courses as outlined. Any further discussion on that? Seeing none, we'll move to the vote. All those in favor of approving those courses indicate by raising your right hand. 7-0. Thank you.
The second item is an overnight and out-of-state field trip request for Fairfield Central High School. 11 students from Fairfield Central High School in grades 11 and 12th grade will travel to New York, on December the 10th and return on December the 12th, where they will participate in a Broadway Performance Institute. And as always, you are approving the trip and not the funding.
Thank you for that clarification. At this time, the chair will entertain a motion regarding to the out-of-state overnight field trip.
Mr. Chair, I move that we approve the superintendent's recommendation regarding the overnight and out-of-state field trip request, Fairfield Central to New York.
Thank you, ma'am.
Second.
It's been motioned by Ms. McDaniel, seconded by Mr. Miller to approve the trip. Any further discussion on the trip?
That motion is for the trip and the funding if they need money.
I knew it was, Ms. McDaniel. I knew it was. Any further discussion on that? If not, we'll move to the vote. All those in favor of approving the out-of-state overnight trip as discussed indicate by raising your right hand. 7-0. Thank you. Operations and Finance.
Good evening. Under Operations and Finance, you have item number 1, which is the October 2018 Finance Report for board review.
Anybody have any questions for Mr. Robinson on the October report? Seeing none.
And the second item is facilities usage request. The superintendent recommends the board approve facility usage request with waiver of fees for Fairfield Central High School for the Fairfield High School alumni and McCrory-Liston School of Technology for St. Matthew's No. 2 Baptist Church.
Mr. Chair, I move that we accept the superintendent's recommendation regarding the new facility usage request for Fairfield Central and McCrory-Liston by the alumni and the church group. St. Matthew's No. 2.
The waiver.
And did you say fee waiver as well? Was that part of your motion?
Yes, it was.
Okay, I thought it was. All right, it's been motioned by Ms. McDaniel, it's been seconded by Pastor Jackson to approve the facility usage as discussed along with fee waiver. Any further discussion on that? Seeing none, all those, yes, sir.
I was looking here now. one of them were that custodians have to be used there. Did I read that right? Because if they can furnish their own cleanup, then that's fine. But if we got to pay people to clean up, then that's different.
You don't happen to remember which one it was, do you?
One of them was in there.
In most places, when you rent something, we'll use it.
Yeah, and they clean it up. You know what I'm saying? Or you disagree with me?
Yeah, because we've been passing them before, and I don't know if they just filled it out differently this time.
I think that they, most of them clean, they bring their own cleanup crew. That's all I was saying.
Okay.
I just wanted to make sure we put, I ain't paid any attention to it.
Oh, okay. Doc, you got any,
Yeah. So what I'll say, Mr. Miller, is generally speaking, we like to have a custodian there in the event that there are other issues with spills or issues with the air condition or needing to get in closets. You find what I mean? Just having someone who's not affiliated with the school, you generally can't address all the issues that might come up. Now, for example, if we had a group that just came into the gym here and were self-contained and we didn't have to worry about spills and issues like that, then obviously that's something they can clean up on their own. But in the event that there's an alarm that goes off, you generally want to have a staff person there to address any issue that transpires. So not just the cleanup part, but just to have someone there to address any issue that might come up during the event is why we generally like to have a staff person there.
Okay. So we only have one staff person there. I thought we read 4 staff persons there. That's what I'm
yeah. Four would be a lot. I can't.
Nothing wrong with one.
is that for the next one? Oh, that's for all, which means,
I think that was the.
It's gotta be.
we even have 4 at
It's for 4 hours.
Oh, 4 hours. Oh, 4 hours. Okay.
My bad.
Oh, okay.
Hello. I know I seen some.
You saw 4.
I seen 4.
We found out what the 4 is. All right. Any further discussion on that? All right.
Also have a technician along with custodian. Do we need both?
Anytime they let somebody on that multi-million-dollar soundboard and they don't know how to operate it, they have to
Yeah, we just bought that soundboard a couple of years ago, didn't we? All right. Yeah, I don't want anybody messing up that soundboard.
we'll pay for somebody to need it.
Exactly. All right. Anybody got anything else on
I
that?
got some clarity.
You got your, all right. 4 hours. Hey, Miss Miller, it was 4 hours. All right.
Not 4 people.
We got it straight. All right. Good deal. Seeing no further discussion on that, all those in favor of approving the facility usage request with fee waiver indicate by raising your right hand. I believe that's 7-0. And if I'm not mistaken, I think that brings it down to me. All right, I already quizzed y'all on the next board meeting. Y'all remember where it is?
Or an artist.
There you go. Good job. I really do that so they remind me. Okay. This is the newly renovated one, though. I don't think we've been over there since it's been renovated. I would be remiss, and I thank Ms. Hartman for mentioning the football team, but as a charter member of the Fairfield Central cross-country team, me and Tony Armstrong, who usually makes these meetings because he was forced by Coach Heath to run, as they made all the basketball players and 2 of us that ran distance on track that were the cross-country team that first year. But the cross-country team had its most successful season ever. They finished 2nd in the region, and they finished 15th in the state. That is the best that team has ever done. That's pretty impressive. And I will say quite candidly, I discussed with my former cross-country friend of mine, yeah, but if we got to run against that 3A competition, because we ran against Sumter, Spring Valley, Irmo, and we got whipped, we would have done as well. And then I went online and I looked at the times. I retract that statement. We would not have done as well. Our gentlemen are excellent and very young, and I look forward to great things from them next year as well. I think if they shave a minute off their time, we might be talking about some medals. I'm not coaching it. The coach is doing a great job, and I'm not trying to take it up. I want to thank y'all for allowing me to serve one more year as your chair. I appreciate the the trust is, I think, the appropriate word that you've placed in me to guide us through these meetings. They're always in a fun adventure. You never know what's going to pop up. But no, seriously, thank you all very much for that. On one other note, Ms. McDaniel, we've talked about it all evening. Congratulations. We look forward to seeing you down in Columbia. I don't know if this is your official last meeting. I know the organizational session down there is before this one, so I don't know how that works out. But I did want to take this moment to say it has been my pleasure to serve with you. I have enjoyed it. I always seem to learn something from you. And I don't think most people know that our paths cross way, way further back than most people understand. But it's just been an honor and a privilege, and I know other folks on the board feel that way. So if this is in fact your last meeting, I want to go ahead and say that publicly. If it's not, I'll probably forget to say it in December, and I'm sorry. But congratulations, and we look forward to seeing you down in Columbia.
And speaking out of conversation about whether this is my last meeting, I think he gonna win, so.
Well, the gavel's bigger than the one I got. He's a good guy, too. You need to ask him about the day I helped him clean up his candy at the Charlesboro Parade. But anyway.
Okay, I'll make sure I do that.
Last question, please. Dr. Green. Speaking of our sports, I've asked this before. Do we, from our budget, or if we needed more money to go to support all of our sports, the same as our football team at the high school, do we pay for everything the same for all?
And so, Ms. Hartman, I've said before, when you said everything, what are you referring to?
Whatever you do for the high school football team, do you do the same for all sports from high school to high school?
Well, and so there, when you say, does the athletic program,
Any equipment that they need?
any equipment that they need?
Right.
Okay, so obviously,
Supposed to wear or anything like that? Whatever they're doing the same for the high school team, are we doing the same for all?
so for example, we purchase shoulder pads for the high school football team. Okay, we don't purchase, for example, soccer shin guards for the soccer team. So I'm trying, when you say do, well, we pardon me?
Why would we not do the same if that's what's part of their gear compared to football?
Well, and so generally speaking, I have daughters who play soccer. Shin guards are something that kids keep themselves. It's not something that the school owns. Now, the school could do it and just keep the shin guards, if you will, but that's something that students generally purchase themselves because they keep it. I had my daughters play tennis. All right, the school didn't purchase them a racket. I purchased them a racket because that's a racket that they're going to keep if they continue to play tennis. So there are some things that students purchase on their own, but those are things that students keep, as opposed to things that the athletic program purchases, but the athletic program keeps.
Okay, so do we not purchase anything that the football, as far as, and they keep?
I can't imagine anything that we'd purchase that they would keep, but I'm not going to tell you they don't. I don't know for 100% sure. When you start talking about equipment for football, obviously you're talking about shoulder pads and pants and thigh pads, and my guess is, Ms. Hartman, that maybe the cleats. You know, I don't know if at the end of a season they keep the cleats. I'm not sure. So what I would say, Ms. Hartman, what I would say to that is, if you or any parent has any concern about our support for any program, please bring that to me. I'd be happy to look at it. I've not heard anyone come to me with any concerns, but if there are some concerns with our level of support for any program.
And I say that because, you know, if the kids can't afford it, it could be kids that want to participate and they don't because of it.
Well, that's okay.
All right.
To that discussion, Mr. Chairman, there used to be, and I don't know if it changed or not because I hadn't followed it, a proviso that was in place that if students met the free and reduced lunch requirements, there were certain fees that the district couldn't charge them for. And I'm just saying that to ask you guys to go back and look at that, proviso number 1. But then, the other part of that is, God dog it, just went out, and I just forgot it.
I know what you
Must be
mean.
them years, ain't it?
Yeah, they catch up with you.
Sure, and I'm over 10.
So you were blaming the computer, but anyway.
I got 2 other things I want to mention. That
Okay.
reminds me, but if
That's
we-
all right.
We probably need to look at that I know what it
We'll
was.
check it.
That proviso. So, Dr. Green, since we on CEP, if there are benefits that students on free or reduced should receive, do they have to?
That's a good question. I don't know. I knew that's where you were going. But
How do we determine those students' eligibility? Do they have to fill out another application, or do we receive that information through DSS or?
Well, and so generally what you're talking about, Ms. McDaniel, is a waiver of fees, okay? And so what Ms. Hartman is referencing aren't necessarily fees. So using my example in terms of shin guard for soccer, obviously that's not fees, that's just something that a student would purchase. But with all that said, I am confident that if we have students who have financial struggles, that coaches will fund it so they can still participate. I'll tell you for a fact, I know even with tennis, students who struggle, who had problems buying rackets, the athletic department did. Or students who struggle to buy tennis shoes, the athletic department did. And so even though they aren't necessarily fees, which may not be covered by the proviso, when students have financial need, we are fortunately in a position where we can provide assistance. Yeah.
Second, I don't know if you've been following, what is his name? Is it Chad Johnson, the little fella that,
Oh, yeah.
yeah, and how his career is moving. That he graduated from here through the arts,
Dance.
the dance program, yeah.
Oh, okay.
And he's really doing some real good things. And I want to say that because it just shows that us starting to send our students to these different Carnegie Halls and all these things for exposure has not been in vain. The other thing, and I'm piggybacking off of some of these meetings I went to, is with the safety. Are we making sure that we're telling our staff all hands on deck to check our schools, make sure students not popping doors open, going out, and so they can run to the car, do whatever, and then come back in. And anytime they walk past the door, they need to look and see whether or not the door is popped open.
Yeah. And so a couple of things there, Ms. McDaniel. We applied for some additional safety money that the state is providing, and we did receive it. In addition to that, we're committing some additional resources, specifically around doors, specifically around cameras. We are constantly reviewing our processes that are in place to ensure that our students are the safest that they could possibly be in our care. Custodians, as you say, continually go around to check doors, but as you can imagine, kids coming in and out of doors all day long. And so we're reviewing that process.
Okay. And then the final thing is Chromebooks. I'm still hearing that students are not really, a large number of the students are not taking advantage of Chromebooks.
Yeah.
So some of the teachers are not using them.
And that is something, I was just speaking to the media specialist at the middle school about this last week. And for example, we have maybe 425 kids at the middle school. As I say, we average 2 and a little change per class. She estimated that we probably have somewhere in the ballpark of maybe 75 kids who've not received Chromebooks. And it is simply a function of parents not wanting to accept the responsibility. I struggle with how we get past that because we've said we're going to give you a Chromebook at no cost, and we've had some parents to say, even though you're going to give it to me, I don't want little Johnny to get it because I don't trust that he's going to take care of it, and if he breaks it, then you're going to charge me. I don't know what the answer to that is, Ms. McDaniel. I guess initially when we rolled this out, my thinking was that every single kid who can get a free Chromebook, his parent is going to sign off for him to get one or her to get one. We're finding that there are some parents who are saying, I'm not going to sign off for my kid to get a Chromebook because I don't trust that he's going or she's going to take care of the Chromebook, and then you're going to come back to me asking me to pay for it. So that is the dilemma. We don't assign any kid a Chromebook until mama or daddy signs a permission slip and a liability, quite honestly, saying you're going to be responsible, we're going to give him a Chromebook, but you have to be responsible that he takes care of it, he doesn't throw it in the trash, doesn't break it, so on and so on.
Now, can they use them at school but can't take them out, or they do not have access to them at all?
And so, so this is something that I've spoke to the media specialist about actually just yesterday. I want them to figure out what we can do to at least, even for those parents who don't want them to have full-time access, to at least give them some access while they're in school. Now, I'm gonna tell you what happened last year. So they did this last year. They gave a kid, for example, a Chromebook while he was in school. When the kid broke the Chromebook even while he was in school, and we went back to a parent, then the parent said, well, I didn't give you permission to give him a Chromebook anyway. So that's not my responsibility. You gave me a Chromebook, so you accept the responsibility if he breaks it. So, you know, if you don't take care of a Chromebook, you just throw it down, or don't, you can easily crack the screen. Well, so what they were doing was, and that's one thing I told them we're gonna change. They would give them a Chromebook so they could have it all day. You follow me? So, and that's what I said. Well, maybe we need to change it and not say, I give you a Chromebook in the morning and then you turn it back in at 3 o'clock, because there are lots of opportunity to break it. Maybe we should say, I give you a Chromebook in first period, I pick it up at first period, I give it back to you at second period, I pick it back up at second period. And I think that alleviates that issue of a kid not taking care of the Chromebook throughout the course of the day. Yes. So we are, in particular with some of the things that we're looking at implementing, kids are going to need to have access to the Chromebook, and so we're going to have to figure out, even if parents aren't giving them permission to get a Chromebook, how we put one in their hands.
What kind of cost would that be to the parent?
And so two things, Pastor Jackson, and Dr. Avery, you correct me. I think our Chromebooks cost about $300. $279? $379. Okay, $379. But you can purchase insurance for $25. And so what we tell parents is, if your kid gets a Chromebook and you pay the $25 insurance, it'll cover any damage that he has throughout the course of the year. So you'll never have to worry about the $379 to replace it. But some of them still won't give permission for the kid to get a Chromebook. And you believe it or not, I've had conversations with parents who've told me, I don't trust that he won't go on the internet, go on a pornographic site, or, and I'm saying he can do that on his phone. So Chromebook ain't gonna stop from doing that, So, some parents we gonna have to kind of bring along. Some of them still say, hey, he doesn't need or she doesn't need a Chromebook.
I got one question. It don't have nothing to do with the Chromebooks. Okay. Dr. Green, the field house, are the custodians at the high school are the ones cleaning the field house? Can we look into maybe hiring some addition? That's a lot of work. Yeah. The high school is a lot. Yeah. And my concerns is, everybody using the field house, that's a lot of germs going in there. It really, really need to be clean as well as the high school, and I think that's a lot of work on. I don't know how many we have now. Is it 6 or 8?
What's that,
custodians at the high school?
I think maybe 7. Maybe 7.
And I think they used to have more than that in the past, and then we have an additional building. So I think we really need to consider.
Yeah, that's an excellent point, Ms. Harrison. I've had some conversation with Ms. Swilly about that. Actually, me and Mr. Miller had some conversation about that earlier as well. And so as we come to the budget season, I'm likely to bring you a request to add an FTE to add an additional custodian. I think for the rest of the year, we could probably get through, since we are out of football season, which is the most traffic, out of basically kind of getting out of the spring, out of the fall sports. With soccer and softball and some of those other sports, I think we'll be able to maintain, but I'll probably bring you a recommendation for an FTE next year.
Thank you.
That brings another statement. Dr. Green, if we can look into having our facilities professionally cleaned at least once a year, if not twice. I hate when I go in the bathrooms and look around the little, whatever you call it, the board, and it's just so filthy. And one of the schools I went in, the commode seat was blue, and then the rings in the sink. We should not be having that in our district. We should not. So I don't know who's responsible for checking and making sure when things need to be switched out and making sure that those cracks and corners are clean. But can we please look into that?
And Mr. McDaniel, let me just say this. You know, whenever I go in schools, I never use faculty restrooms for that exact reason. Because I want to see what the student restrooms look like. Anytime I go in schools, I always go to student restrooms because I want to see what conditions they're in. And sometimes I think maintenance staff and custodians just don't feel as if they have the latitude to make a recommendation that we replace things, even though as much as we say it. And so what I want them to come to us and say, hey, there is a toilet seat here, but it's blue, and it should be white. And it's not gonna cost us that much money to put a white toilet seat down, okay? So let's get it replaced. And so yeah, we are working on that because we do have some work to do in that regard. And almost without exception, Mr. McDaniel, if I go to a custodian and I say what you said, I said, look here, this toilet seat is blue. Let's get a new toilet seat here. And so you know what, that won't take us long to do, Superintendent, we can get that done. And I'm saying we should have done it, okay? So I want them to have the initiative to come to the principal or go to maintenance or go to someone, because very often if you don't go in there, you don't use the restroom, you really don't see it.
Okay.
Yeah.
And I always throw shout outs, and there's nothing negative on none of the rest of the custodians, but that doggone elementary school,
What?
I mean,
What?
I don't know if that lady just sing up through, because you know she wasn't up singing. Well, is she the supervisor?
Who that?
Vote night.
No,
She's the supervisor.
Marvin.
Well, whoever responsible. That school is clean off the chain, and if we could get the rest of them to kind of adopt some of her their protocols for cleaning, it would say a lot.
All right. Anything else? Motion to adjourn?
I move for adjournment.
Second?
Second.
All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Aye. See y'all next month.
Where we going? So Pastor Jackson,
Gordon?
I knew it came in the building and